Hi, now we're on to Libra. Okay, so welcome. Your birthday is going to be coming up, so hopefully you're getting excited for that, which is pretty cool, which means that right now the sun's kind of in your 12th house, so things have probably been a little bit, slower, a little bit more reflective. You're about to approach your personal new year, so congrats, you're getting there. So, what do you want to do for your birthday? Right? Okay, so we're gonna do a quick 6 card spread, kind of looking at what has been happening throughout Jupiter retrograde, kind of like what has been the lessons. So what can we tell Libra today to help them stay in highest vibration and on the truth path? Like what has been happening for Jupiter since it went retrograde, now it's going direct. There might have been some kind of conflict, maybe something about your independence or, maybe something that, at work, but we'll kind of see. Okay, so your cards are ready. I'm just cutting. Okay. So what we have here is the question. Okay, Two of Pentacles. So there's been a lot of balance, a lot of changes, like this for this deck, it shows the person, on a tightrope. So, like the one thing about this is that, okay, before this would have been the Ace of Pentacles. So that is that opportunity for something new. And so the Two of Pentacles is about you've accepted that. Like, okay, you've accepted it. You have the new pentacle and maybe you have the old pentacle. And so right now, you've been, you know, or the theme kind of throughout the season is about, creating that change, that like, from the past into the, future, So maybe you've been, trying to stay really present, which is great. You have to be because, I mean, if aren't, you could definitely fall off this tightrope, okay? It is about a dance, But once you get to that other side, you still need that pentacle again. Like, I mean, it is about, like here, they're needing it for that balance. But once you're on the other side, you still need it. Like, I mean, yes, like what comes after is that Three of Pentacles. It's about that building, But I mean, here is like that choice. What from the past you still need to keep. It's like now that you took that opportunity, now that you went through that tightrope, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean you're going to build on the other side? Okay. Okay, and so these are kind of describing the events. Is the Seven of Pentacles. It's awesome. So I was thinking about the Seven Pentacles came up for Virgo as well. And I've been like thinking about this because I mean, this is a new deck for me. And so I haven't really seen like many of these, right? But Seven of Pentacles has come up a lot in readings and it's generally been like, I mean, Seven of Pentacles is about waiting. It is about assessing. It's like, what were you building before? Like, is it still, is that what's going to bring you, your harvest? Is that what's going to bring you, that fulfillment, right? But it's also about, this like Seven Pentacles is about that harvest time. And you can look at it here. Like, you can look at it like this person's pretty comfortable in their garden. It's like the clouds are behind them. It's kind of wet, ready for that adventure. In order to do this tightrope, for example, you have to be like adventurous. You have to be like, willing to take that risk. Like it's like you were offered that new opportunity, which is like that gift from above, and you took it. And so the events, kind of like what's been happening now, is about like that have been leading up to this is because, well, like you did make that choice. You did know what to say, and now you're feeling confident. It's like, okay, I'm seeing my harvest. I'm seeing it bloom. Okay, and this is what you've been kind of doing over the last Ace of Pentacles. I also love that it came up. I was just kind of playing with like the settings of the camera to make sure that it comes out clear, and the Ace of Pentacles is what I was kind of just what I grabbed. So okay, so I mean, you have a lot of Pentacles here. So this is about like, I mean, could be about a work opportunity. It is about making things tangible. It is about your time. It's about your efforts. It can be about your relationships in terms of like on a physical sense, right? And so you took an opportunity. It's like during Jupiter retrograde, right? Like, it is about that everything right? Like, it's just like reassessment. It's not necessarily about taking action, because I mean, if you do try to take action, you could just be like blocked, and or like what started to create, you may realize that you have to revise it, but now that like Jupiter is gone direct, right? It's like now you can see what's ahead of you. Okay, the clouds are behind you, and it's like you assessed and took this opportunity, and look how great it is. Okay, and spiritual lesson, or like what has been, your higher self has been, yelling at you over, the last, could be since December, could just be since the retrograde, but like, what is it? Two of Swords. Okay, so that is, congrats, man. Like, congratulations, whoever you are, whoever watching this, because it's like your higher self, like, was telling you to make the choice. It's like, it is about balancing the thoughts, you know, but you can't stay there too long, like you could again fall off, like the clouds are around you, and so it's like you listened and you took that opportunity, rather than like staying in this state of like indecision, stuck between two minds. It's like twos, can be about, pausing and reflecting and change and choices, but it's also about, like the, how do you say it? Like the energy is becoming, in essence, itself. It's like, okay, before the ace of, or before the two of swords is the ace of swords, before the two of pentacles is the ace of pentacles, right? And so, but aces are just that opportunity, unless you take it, it's just a thought, right? And so when you come to the twos, it's like, okay, now I've had the idea. What am I going to do about the idea? Am I just going to like sit and assess, and think and think and think and never do anything about it? And then like go back and forth and probably create tower moments because you're not listening to your higher self, but you did. I think you did listen to your higher self. It was telling you that you've been in this indecision, in this cloudiness for too long. Okay, but things have been coming clearer. Things are starting to bloom. You're starting to see, what this Ace of Pentacles can create. Okay, and you're taking those first steps, to be like, okay, can I make this work? It's like now I grasp it. Now I'm making it real. I'm actually taking the steps. It may be risky, but I mean, things are not cloudy anymore. I've risen above and forward. Good job, man. Awesome. Okay, so your environment, your friends, your coworkers, your family, like what's been happening during this time period is the star. Okay, so there could be a lot of healing that's been happening, like a lot of relationships, like maybe things that have been, that have broken down, so like, maybe there's been, taking steps about, which relationships you want to heal, or it has been, or maybe there has been like, okay, if this is your environment, if this is you know, like the influence of your friends, your family, your coworkers, okay, this is about, okay, that star. This is wishing upon a star. This is getting your wish. Okay, before the star, you know, depending on what deck, like I don't know which one they have it is here, which number, 17, 16, so 16 is probably the tower. I can't remember exactly. But depending on which deck, star or temperance comes after the tower and the tower again, these are major arcana. Okay, so I mean like in terms of this is your like first major arcana, and so that means that there's something significant about your relationships that have like are evolving, after something breaking down. Okay, but like the tower moment is like, when things have been built on faulty foundations, and so as you're building, and you're not like, okay, if this is a work situation, I was just saying this earlier, okay, it's just like, sometimes you need to make changes. A lot of people are resistant to change, and like say if you're dealing with a manager, for example, you're trying to like implement something as a like an employee and you can't, you know because there's resistance to change. But I mean, there's growth. There's been a lot of growth that's been happening, new opportunities. Okay. And so it's like now this is like trying to pick up the two of pentacles, this is like the juggling, it's like, okay, if I'm not careful, I will fall off, and so it's like you need people need to adjust, people need to like, just systems so that like you can handle the growth now, right? Like I mean, if you're away and you're a boss, right, like are there systems in place that can make sure that things are running without you, kind of thing, right? So if there's been some kind of tower moment in your environment, in your coworkers or something like that, it's like there's been healing now. Okay, there's been adjustments because it's like now you get your wish. After the tower, like if you've done the hard work, which it looks like you have, because if it's, or at least that there's people around you that are inspiring you to do it or something like that. But it's like now, you know, like, okay, if this is a coworker situation, this is like an easier, like an example, right? Like you're at that stage where it's like, okay, this this didn't work. Okay, so what can we do now to make sure that this never happens again? We don't have that tower moment. We can, you know, handle the growth that all of a sudden that's happened, for example. Okay. And so your team, it's like you guys are in a healing space. You guys are being vulnerable. You guys are sharing your emotions. Okay. Like, I mean, like, look how like naked they are. Right. So you're like, again, whether this is a relationship, well, it's a relationship in some capacity, like whoever this means to you is like, it's like they're being vulnerable, they're like, we're going to get this right this time, and then they could be shining the light for you. Like, I mean, you think about like, following that North Star, for example, you know? Okay. So this is kind of like, you know, answer or like guidance or things like that. Is we have a queen, I think. Queen of Swords. So it's time to communicate. Like, okay, if you think about, and I hadn't actually talked about the bottom of the deck because I hadn't looked at it, about the Magician. So this is, okay, this is major arcana, like manifestation, like putting things in action, having all the tools you need. Okay, I'll talk about that. Okay, so if you think about like, this is still like a wish. This could still be following, the star, okay? Like, I mean, if you're crossing, that tightrope across the sky, maybe the star is right here and this is what is guiding you across, for example, right? But I mean, what do you do on the other side? We kind of talked about that, okay? Get on the other side, okay? If you look at this one, this person's a little bit younger looking, okay? What you think so? Because I mean, if you start from the like 1 to the 10, like they're starting a brand new cycle because they just took a new opportunity. They may never have walked this tightrope before, right? Gone on this, journey. Maybe there's a journey here, like something like, traveling, and it's like, now you've grounded, okay, you've gained that experience and have become like a queen, like whether you're a queen or a king, it's like, being that master of, that element that they represent. So swords are air. Libra, you are Libra, okay? So this is like, stepping into your power as like an energetic force. Okay, the queen is just. Okay, this is about, you taking a new opportunity, like, having to choose. It's like, this can be known as the divorcee, for example. She's been hurt before, but she's experienced. She knows what she wants. She's going to be truthful about it. She's going to communicate. Okay, she could hurt some people in the process, but it's just. Okay, it's like, she has again that truth, that clarity. Okay, and so this has all been. Oh my goodness, I just want to keep going. Okay, so underneath the deck, okay, you have the Magician, you have the Knight of Swords. Okay, King of Cups, then the Page of Pentacles. Okay, this is still about, being new, that fresh, like, okay, I've been presented this opportunity. What am I gonna do with it? Like, I'm so like unexperienced. I've never done this before, Okay, but then like you've been like, balancing your thoughts and maybe balancing things and getting your emotions, set. So the King of Cups, like he knows what he wants and he uses his emotions to like, guide him, right? Okay, and so with that, you then had the Knight of Swords. Okay, so that is like some fast communication, fast action. Maybe there's some heart, like it's a knight in shining armor, and in that process, you could hurt some people, but it's like, okay, it's the right thing, So I went fast, okay, but right now, it's like you are the magician. So through this process, through everything that's been happening, probably since December and like fine tuning it, since May, for example, okay, is that you've leveled up. You've gone from, the knight to the queen, and it's like maybe you would have communicated more like harshly before, but throughout this process, throughout what you've experienced, throughout these lessons, you now know like how to be like, the queen is also regal, like she communicates clearly, and just and does what is right. Okay, and this is major arcana. This is number 1. Okay, the Fool is 0. Okay, it's like that again, taking that opportunity, but that big opportunity. Okay, and so this is the Magician. Like I've just kind of like, again, new deck, so I haven't really seen it, and it's like this really cool depiction. Like I mean, even like I like even the antlers on top, and like it's almost like okay, before this, okay, the Fool is that, like I'm just gonna take the risk, I'm going, but you may not, like you're about to jump off that cliff. Okay, not literally, unless you know, safety first, okay, but you need to take the risk, and you did take the risk, right? But this is actually like now doing it, and so it's like a major, major, step into your new life. You know, it's like, you know, whether this has been like the last 20 years, like let's just say you've been, you know, deciding like whether to retire or not, you know, and it's just like, okay, all I know is this job, you know, all I know is like coming in and out every day or whatever kind of thing, you know, but you took a risk, you know, like say if you still like, okay, I'm gonna retire, you know, and it's like now you're, you know, starting to, you know, like knowing that you have all the tools you need to do what you want to do now for like the next. Okay, this is a Jupiter reading, okay? So it takes 12 years for Jupiter to go around, you know? And so like to rotate and so and especially go through all of like the elements, right? So you can even think back to 12 years ago. Like what happened then? Like what cycle started then? You know, that is kind of like, okay, how do I want the next 12 years to go? Okay. And so this is amazing. Like this is like, okay, so I was saying with the antlers is like, okay, with the world, that is that boss battle. That is getting your experience points. Like, so let's say if this was like a battle with an animal or something like that, or showing like, you know, like rites of passage. You know, it's like you did the rites of passage. And so you've earned your like antlers. You've earned, you know, respect. Okay. You earn like the confidence, you have the magic, you have the tools, and you have stepped into it. And that is awesome. Super, 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 super awesome. Okay. It's been hard, probably. Like, it's been a long year, you know? But this is like, you know, with Jupiter going direct, okay, like, you're gonna start seeing your rewards. You're gonna start, like, you're already starting to see, you know, like, what is looming, okay? And then, like, when, you know, Jupiter goes into, like, Aquarius in December, okay, like, you do definitely, like, see, like, again, that fruits of your labor kind of thing, you know? Okay, so what kind of takeaway message can we get? Okay, this is just going all over the place. Like, I don't know if you're like really excited about something. I know I'm getting like all this energy. Okay, what's the takeaway message? Because this is getting really long. I don't know if they're all going to be 22 minutes now. Like, oh my goodness. Okay, what's the takeaway message for Libra? Page of Wands, new inspiration. You know, this is like taking your steps, trying something new, you know, like the page just went through all the lessons, all the burdens, you know, had the idea, you know, tried to manifest it, had a little bit of success, challenge, you know, then had to defend what they wanted, and then got burdened, and then had to put down the burden, you know. And now it's like, I'm going to take my lessons, what I've learned, and I'm going to start something new, and you have been, and it's been after a tower. Okay, so this is the tower. Okay, it's like that lightning strikes, you know, with or without you, you know, and it's just like, and like we're talking about, you know, so if this has been your environment, you know, things are like you're now seeing the healing, you know, it's like, so let's just, yeah, so 16, 17, you know, so this deck does have the star after, you know, and if you think about, okay, so the star, what comes after the star is the moon. Because it's like, okay, the star, you see, you know, you see that like wish, you see that idea, you know, you're like, whether it's, you know, people around you are like shining like that light kind of thing, right? Okay, the moon is then facing those fears, you know, because it's like, okay, if you know you have to change things, you know, in order to get your wish, you know, it's going to take, you know, facing those fears, you know, going into the dark, you know, like, you know, going deep within, you know, following your intuition, you know, so that you can just let it go. And after the moon, like, okay, just like the night, you know, like it's just the moon, the sun comes, and that's the happiest, you know, like the happiest element in like, you know, or in terms of the experience, in terms of the deck, or like in terms of human experience that we all experience. And you are heading to somewhere awesome. Congrats. You did the hard work. Okay. You've been healing. You know, this tower is not so fun, but the rewards are going to be amazing. So just keep going through that tight walk, like that tight rope. You know, you're almost there. Okay, amazing things are happening. You're gonna get your wish. I'm so happy for you. Take care.